WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. The state's high court refuses to hear an appeal, moving the Oktibbeha County Industrial Park now closer to reality. Property owners wanted developers to find a new entrance to the park and oppose the rezoning of the property. The Mississippi Court of Appeals upheld a lower court's ruling to allow Starkville to rezone the property on Highways 389 and 82, but the state Supreme Court did not bring up the issue. Golden Triangle Development Link CEO Joe Max Higgins tells WCBI, quote, "This is fantastic news for Starkville and Oktibbeha County. It is sad that we have lost valuable time and new industry opportunities. Key parts of the necessary infrastructure improvements were also delayed while this zoning appeal dragged on," end quote. He also says the organization can move quickly to complete the remaining park improvements. To read his full statement, you can find it on our website, WCBI.com. Well, most people don't start thinking about taxes until the first of the year, but with budgets for the next year due in less than a month, cities and county governments are now studying the issue. Many of them are considering increases. Our Riley Livingston takes a look at what goes into making that decision. She joins us live with more.
Andrea, I'm here in Columbus, one of the many cities looking to raise taxes. And while it might not be a popular decision, it's often a necessary one. The fiscal year is coming to a close and next year's budgets are coming together. Many cities are looking to the future and how to pay for it.
Most everyone has tried to live as conservative as they could for many years. After a while, that catches up. And so at some point, something has to give. And the fact you've got to have the finances to make sure that you take care of your basic needs, whether it's about life safety or infrastructure.
Mayor Will Hill knows raising taxes can be unpopular, but it's often necessary.
One thing that all citizens need to realize on any level is the importance of having vibrant communities that not only you have solid infrastructure and safety, it's the cycle of having quality health care, quality education, or else we do not have a future to look forward to. Our future will end up leaving if we do not make sustainable communities.
Mayor Hill says while every city and town is different, they all had the same struggles.
Your heavy expenditure is typically going to be your personnel providing the services needed and expected. And then the other one is the big topic, infrastructure. Roadways, I mean, we're not even, in most cases, cities and towns are not able to address sidewalks and things like that, because what's most important is just being able to drive to work, to school, and take care of those things.
He says it's also important for people to understand where their money is going.
Local government is where the rubber meets the road. It's your quickest access to government. It's where your services are met, and realize the importance of it, and look into how your tax dollars are being used, whether they're your local property taxes, your sales tax, or whether it's that of on the state and federal level. Understand tax and not look at the broad sense.
Mayor Hill says it's also important to shop local because then you're feeding into the sales tax base, which can help sustain a community as well as keep other taxes from increasing. Reporting live in Columbus, Riley Livingston, WCBI News.
Collision claims 2 young lives this morning in Lamar County. This accident happened about 8:20 on Highway 17 near Vernon. Lamar County Coroner Alan Chandler says 21-year-old Caitlin Dobbins of Vernon and 16-year-old Evan Camp of Columbus died at the scene. Dobbins was driving a Mazda 6. Camp was the passenger in the vehicle. There was a collision with a Dodge Ram truck. There's no word on the condition of the driver of that other vehicle. The Alabama Highway Patrol is investigating the accident. A Lowndes County deputy injured in an early morning motorcycle accident is in good condition this evening. This crash happened at the intersection of Gardner Boulevard and Morgan Avenue about 7:20. Columbus police say Richard Brantley was heading south on his motorcycle on Gardner when a northbound car turned onto Morgan. That's how the collision happened. Brantley was thrown from the bike and later airlifted to Tupelo. The driver of the car was not injured. Columbus police are investigating that crash. Starkville-Oktibbeha County School District leaders say an alleged threat against a school has been determined to be, quote, fabricated. There was an increase of law enforcement presence at school campuses while police investigated this alleged threat this morning. A Starkville Police Department spokesman tells WCBI after talking to individuals, investigators determined the district did not receive a threat. A school district spokesperson also says no students from the district were involved. Time now to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson for a first look at our forecast this evening. Keith?
Well, it's still mainly sunny out there, still pretty hot, low and mid-90s. Widespread today, we are still in that ballpark right now. We had a few isolated showers and thunder showers earlier. Those are basically gone away. There's a couple of outflow boundaries, maybe stirring up some breezes, but I think we're about done for any rain chance today. Some residual cloud cover, but that's about it right now. We're looking at a quiet evening, 80s at 7 o'clock, then some 70s here this evening for outdoor activities. It looks great. Lows will be down to around 70 degrees tonight with a bright, nearly full moon shining overhead. I'm back with your high school football, college football weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, speaking of that forecast, sweltering summer games are nothing new for Mississippi State. Last week's game, you may remember, saw people overheating, but the university says it has some plans in place this time around to try to help keep people cool. WCBI's Tyler Hull has the details on that.
Hot September sun will be shining over Scott Field on Saturday. Temperatures will be in the 90s, and work started this week to find ways fans can cool off, keeping the heat on the field.
One of the first things we do is provide opportunities for fans to find shade underneath the concourse. We have fans set up to act as cooling zones. We also have free refill stations for people who bring in their clear water bottles, clear containers. They're welcome to all the free water that is available. We also have cooling buses available for those who get extremely overheated.
Medical experts say the key to staying hydrated starts before the game and before you get on campus.
Alcohol is a major contributing factor to where we're seeing some of these dehydrations. Not all the time. Of course, your older population dehydrate a whole lot quicker than your younger. But alcohol is a really, even up to prior to the night before the game, alcohol dehydrates you. So I would really recommend staying away from alcohol the day before the game.
Wearing light fitting and light colored clothing can help keep you cooler. OCH Regional Medical Center EMS Director Michael Hunt says take some time to take care of yourself while tailgating and ringing your cowbell.
Anything, like Gatorade that has extra or supplement electrolytes will help. But however, water is the best thing.
EMS personnel will be set up at first aid stations throughout the stadium. If you feel weak or lightheaded, get help.
We hope people will come in early, take advantage of the shade, get their water bottles filled, and get ready for kickoff at 11.
In Starkville, Tyler Hull, WCBI News.
Now the Bulldogs play Kansas State Saturday. If you need more information about the school's game plan to keep fans safe, go to our website, WCBI.com. Future law enforcement officers have their sights set on some serious training. We check in on them when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. Future law enforcement officers are spending hours this week training with firearms. It's one of the many areas cadets will cover during their 12 weeks at the North Mississippi Law Enforcement Training Center. Allie Martin has more on this intense training.
Every day this week, cadets in Class B63 have been on the firearms range training with their handguns. Firearms instructor Derek Nelson says cadets are taught numerous ways to de-escalate a situation before using deadly force.
Trying to talk people down, the verbal judos, and trying to get them to cooperate in ways where we don't have to go hands-on. We train defensive tactics if we have to go hands-on, and of course firearms, but firearms is our last thing that we want to have to do.
This class began with 27 cadets and 14 remain. Michael Coxey will work for the Monroe County Sheriff's Department when he graduates. He will be the third member of his family in law enforcement. Coxey says the extensive firearms training is tough, but important.
To holding a firearm on your side at all times, it's learned me how to make sure that I can pull it out accurately and focus in on what I'm aiming at and not just pull it up and just fire it and just shoot at just something still, but also something that maybe is moving, that is a threat to our lives.
Throughout their career, many law officers won't ever fire their weapon while on duty, but they'll continue this type of training to be ready for the unexpected.
It's one of those skills that you have to make a priority. Because you will lose it if you do not use it. So coming out here, even if you don't have the ammunition, you can sit at home and make sure your weapon's clear and do dry firing drills, just drawing drills, knowing how to get from your holster and on target quickly as possible, safely as possible, and just continually getting better.
All cadets in this class have met and exceeded their firearms requirements. They have about 6 more weeks of training, preparing them for a career where there is no such thing as a routine day. In Tupelo, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
And the cadets live at the Academy Sunday through Friday. They will graduate at the end of October.
Well, can you believe it? This is week 4 of high school football. It's going to be a pretty nice evening, it looks like. Upper 80s to mid 80s at 7 o'clock for a kickoff. Temperatures cooling into the 70s, mainly clear. Tomorrow's the full moon, too. And Friday the 13th. Full forecast is coming up.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
It is Thursday night. It's time to look ahead at our college football forecast. We have a couple of home games in Starkville at 11 o'clock. Nice to see an early kickoff here in Starkville, but guess what? It's still going to be plenty hot. We'll be around 90 at kickoff and back into the low to mid 90s during the course of the game. Partly cloudy, can't rule out a stray storm, but assume no rain until proven otherwise at this point. But Ole Miss taking on Southeastern Louisiana. It looks like things will be pretty good there in Oxford, too, with temperatures mainly in the 90s around kickoff and for the first half of the game on Saturday. Look at these records, though, today. Temperatures should be going down in September, not up. 100 Meridian, 100 Montgomery, new records for the day. Vicksburg, 99. Tuscaloosa and Greenwood at 98. Currently in the low to mid 90s across our region. You factor in a little bit of humidity. It feels like the upper 90s. Thankfully, the humidity is not as high as it was earlier this summer, so we are not looking at those heat indices above 105 or 110, but it's still plenty hot out there. The sun's still quite powerful. Those isolated showers and thunder showers going away, so we are looking at a mainly clear evening here with that bright, nearly full moon overhead tonight. As we get into your Friday, lots of sun in the morning, probably some friendly clouds during the course of the day. Once again, we can't rule out a stray shower storm, but I think those high school football games will be pretty good. The weather tomorrow evening very similar to this evening. Now, there will be a weak frontal boundary coming on into the picture Saturday, so that is why we're hedging the bet with a chance for a shower storm. You see a little bit of green and yellow and red there, so there could be a few storms around, but that could be overdoing it there on the forecast model. Assume no rain until proven otherwise in this dry weather pattern, but I can't rule it out. Live view with our Alpha Insurance camera network here looks pretty good. A great day to go out there to talk a little bit of weather to the local elementary schools. I went down to Nanawaya and spoke to these wonderful 4th and 5th grade students there this afternoon, and we were talking about tropical weather, hurricanes, Hurricane Dorian, and also this next disturbance right here getting more organized in the southeastern Bahamas. This is a potential tropical storm. If it does develop, it would become Umberto later this weekend. It does not look like it will have any bearing on our weather. Unfortunately, we were thinking some of that moisture would get in here early next week, but it doesn't look like that will be the case. So we've lowered rain chances. We've actually bumped up the highs into the low 90s for all of next week.
All right, if you've ever wanted to make a trip to the Great White North, Mississippi State women's basketball giving you the perfect opportunity. More on the Bulldogs next in sports.
WCBI First Alert Weather School is brought to you by Emerson Animal Hospital in West Point. Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
Rebel fans may be riding high this week after coming off an SEC win. And then when you hear that Ole Miss hosts Southeastern Louisiana, a non-Power 5 team, you might as well put a check in the win column, right? Well, maybe not the case. The Lions might not be ranked, but they made a statement during Week 1 by upsetting 6th-ranked Jacksonville State 35-14. After taking a bye during Week 2, now Sela comes to Oxford refreshed and well prepared for the Rebels. While they might not be that Power 5 team, they're stacked with former Power 5 transfers, including a starting quarterback who was once committed to Mississippi State, Ole Miss head coach Matt Luke certainly recognizing how dangerous that this Lions team could possibly be.
When you watch those guys on tape, they have a lot of speed and a lot of weapons offensively. You know, they have probably maybe the fastest wideout we've seen yet. They have a transfer running back from Indiana that's very capable. They have an experienced senior quarterback that gets the ball out. He's very accurate. So offensively, they are explosive and dynamic, and that they'll test us on the perimeter for sure. And then defense, they do a lot of blitzing and moving. So we have a huge challenge this week.
Mississippi State women's basketball will be spending Thanksgiving in the Great White North. The Bulldogs finishing off their 2019-2020 schedule by announcing that they will be competing in the Greater Victoria Invitational in British Columbia. MSU will be one of 8 teams playing in the 3-day tournament. State opens the tourney against San Francisco. Details on how to watch the tournament will be released at a later time. For more information, you can visit our website at wcbi.com. Former Mississippi State safety Jonathan Abram got his first NFL start during the Raiders' Monday night matchup against the Denver Broncos. Unfortunately, Abram would see his rookie season come to an end pretty much as soon as it began. Oakland Raiders head coach John Gruden announcing that Abram suffered a shoulder injury, specifically a torn rotator cuff and labrum. He has been placed on the injured reserve list and is expected to have surgery this week. So if you were looking to catch the former Bulldog this season, you will have to wait a year. Abram won't be touching the field again until the 2020 NFL season.
We'll keep him around here, let him learn the defense, and we'll consider this a redshirt year for him. But he made some big plays to help us win a football game. He's a big part of our future. No, he's everything that's advertised. And he'd probably play this week if we let him. But he's going to have surgery, I think, tomorrow. And we're just keeping him in our thoughts and prayers, and we're going to miss him, no doubt.
Well, of course, it's Thursday night, which means Thursday night football, but I'm not talking about the NFL. No, we're talking about some good old JUCO football. It's week 3 of the JUCO season, and quite the game this evening. ICC headed to EMCC. That game kickoff at 7 p.m. And of course, ICC looking for a win. EMCC looking for their second win of the season. And EMCC will be at Coahoma as well. That kickoff, of course, at 7 p.m. And you can tune in here to WCBI Sports at 10 for all the highlights and scores. That's it for sports. We'll have the last look at your weather when we come back after the break.
An iconic Columbus restaurant reopens after fire damages most of the building. Renovations have been underway for about 5 months at Zachary's. Fire heavily damaged the building. You may remember this back from April. The owner, Doug Pelham, and employees worked to clean up and get it demoed as much as they could. Loyal patrons then went on to raise money to help the employees keep a paycheck while they volunteered at various organizations. Pelham and his crew say they're thankful for all of the support and they're ready to be back to serving up their customers' favorite dishes.
I just want to thank the community for supporting us while we were down. We had so many people that brought us food to eat while we were cleaning up. We had people that the GoFundMe account, the big payback fundraiser we had for our employees. Just want to thank everybody. The community has been outstanding for us.
And Zachary's will be operating during normal business hours. And Keith, I think you'll agree with me, with them being just a couple of blocks away, a lot of us frequent that place.
I tell you, we've been dying to get down there, and now we have our chance. And you may need one of those cold beverages to keep yourself cool there or anywhere else here for the next week or so, because we will stay unseasonably warm. The average high right now, upper 80s, but we're looking at low to mid 90s here for at least the next 7 days. Limited chances of rain, can't rule it out each and every day, but more heat, more sun than anything else. Andrea?
All right, there's a Zachary's wrap in my future. That's the news at 6. Enjoy the rest of the evening.